Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you guys about a topic that I think we can all relate to, and that topic is dealing with offense. In Matthew 18, verse 21 and 22, Peter comes to Jesus and he says, "How many times should I forgive a brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus says, "No, I tell you, 70 times 7." And so Jesus is saying, let's lift the limits. And so he's not saying, get a tally out and just got to keep record, and if it gets way high, then don't forgive them. But what Jesus is saying now, this is in the context of the previous verses. He says, if a brother sins against you, go to him and address it privately. If someone offends you or hurts you, go to them and address it privately. And if they will deal with it, then you've won a brother over. If they won't, bring it to the church, and then maybe something can happen there. And if not, treat them like a tax collector. In other words, you may not want to be in relationship with them if they've sinned against you and they're not willing to deal with it. But you're still called to forgive. You're still called to let the punishment and whatever needs to come from God and not from you. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't report it. I mean, if there was some kind of abuse or something like that, that needs to be dealt with. And we don't act like nothing happened, but we do have to release them of their debt and let God deal with them and the authorities if there was something like that. But oftentimes the offenses we deal with are more interpersonal relationship. We get angry because maybe the way someone talked to us, maybe somebody did something like talk behind our back, many different things. Maybe someone made a decision we didn't like in our family or in our church. And it's easy to harbor resentment and to hold that against them. But Jesus is calling us to forgive. Jesus is calling us to release people of the debt that they owe you. And whether imagined, because you're offended and you're easily offended, maybe they didn't even do anything, or real, maybe they did do something to you, and we want to release them from their debt. And I'm thankful in the previous verses where forgiveness doesn't always lead to restoration of relationship. It can, and it's great when it can, but it doesn't always lead that direction. And so we are called to release people of the debt. If they've hurt us, we want to give them up to God and let God deal with them so that we can be freed in our spirit and our hearts, and so God can come in and bring that healing and cause us to flourish internally, because anger and resentment only breeds bitterness, and it clouds our judgment. We start to put people into spots. We start correlating certain people with certain offenses, and it just creates all kinds of difficult scenarios internally. So I want to encourage you today, if you've been hurt, if you've been offended, if somebody has sinned against you, to release them from the debt that they owe you and let God deal with them. And if there's a way to restore that relationship, that's wonderful. If not, you can move on and know that you did what you could do to release them into God's hands. God bless you. I want to pray over you because I believe that this is a very real issue that we deal with as human beings. And I just want to pray that God would release His Spirit and give us the ability to walk in forgiveness. So God, I pray that everyone listening to this, everyone watching this, Lord, I pray that you would give them supernatural ability to know how to take these steps emotionally. Often we know intellectually, but we don't always know emotionally. So I pray that you would empower those who are watching to take these steps in the Spirit to release those who have sinned against them, and to be able to start a new chapter today, free from the burden of resentment and bitterness and all those things that can happen when we don't forgive. I pray it in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day.